Hello, I'm Sash, I'm 22, and I've been doing content for over a year now. And it's very funny because when I first started, I had no clue on how to do it. I didn't know how to edit videos, I didn't know what to talk about in my videos, I didn't know how to share my story. And in this video here, I'm going to talk about how sharing my story has changed everything and has led me to build a personal brand that brings me opportunities that I never would have been able to do if I didn't start documenting my life online. A key part that you have to understand when you're first starting out with content is to understand how sick your story is. Just to give you a little bit of context, I was born in Italy, I was born in Rome, both my parents are Sri Lankan. And growing up, I always used to struggle to fit in. I always struggled with confidence. And it was mainly because I was the different one in the room. In Italy, there were so many white kids. And it was just me. I was just the only brown kid. I was really skinny. I was really shy. And then at 13, when I first started getting some friends, settling in, my dad decided that he wanted to move to London. So my dad went to London, he worked there for a year, saved up some money, and then he flew me, my mum, and my little brother over. And it was really different at that time because I didn't know how to speak the language, and my parents didn't either. And that's when I had to start being a leader. I had to start taking after my parents, helping them with documents, translating, and it forced me to grow up fast. And no one else around me in school was going through the same things. And I always felt like I was older in my friend group. And even now, when I went to uni, I went to university as well. All of my friends were much older than me because I just didn't really relate to people my age. I went to uni mainly because I never really wanted to go to uni, but the main reason why I went was because at the time I was scared to tell my parents that I wanted to start my own business, especially when I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the skills to do it. And I kind of decided to suck it up because I knew my parents sacrificed everything to get me into university. And I made myself this promise. I said to myself that I was going to build the life that I wanted to live whilst I was at uni, take advantage of the freedom around me. And that was the best decision I ever made because, sure, at the start it was difficult. I got caught up into uni culture, started drinking, just having fun, you know. But eventually I started to realise that I needed to do more. And that's when I started to get myself into every single room. I started trying things online. Most of them were failing, but I have this, I believe in this towards failures. Failure is not actually a bad thing. I see failure as a win because by me failing, I know that I'm going to learn something towards the next win, you know. And I love that concept so much because it has been proven in my life. If I didn't go through those failures when I was 13, growing up, I wouldn't be here today documenting my life. Anyways, that's my story in a couple minutes. There's way more about it. But the best thing I've realised is how sick it is to share your story online. Because when I started all of this, I just started sharing my story and it's led me to meet so many people like me. And at the start, I didn't know how to edit. And I feel like the last 9 months, it was me trying to understand how to do the skill. And the last 6 months, it's where I fully started to see my account growing. I started to get opportunities that I never would have been able to get if I didn't create this account. I had 4 national newspapers front page when I had 3k followers. I got invited to speak at this event in central London in front of 60 creators to share my story, to share what I've learned through my journey. I've been speaking to some of the biggest founders in Sri Lanka, in the world, just by content. These people have been messaging me through my content. I've been talking to some of the biggest brands that want to help me make the projects that I'm working on happen, the run, the documentary. And I feel like the main reason why these people want to help me is because they can see my process in the last year. They can see my story in an easy format, which is through the videos. And because I'm so good at sharing my story, I am confident in sharing everything. They feel related to it. If you think about any superhero movie, especially when it's at the start, you always see the origin story of the character. For example, Peter Parker, his uncle died in front of him. He got bitten by the spider. And the uncle died in front of him kind of gave the audience the feeling of, wow, I feel related to this. I'm not saying that everyone saw their uncle die in front of them, but everyone would feel that feeling of your uncle dying in front of you, of a close person dying in front of you. They would feel that feeling. And that's what's so good about sharing your story, because by the filmmakers sharing the origin story of the character, it's made the audience want to follow them through for the next films. Sorry. And it's the very similar concept into content, where by me sharing my story, I am sharing the feeling to an audience, and that audience wants to join me for the journey, wants to follow what I'm doing, wants to support me through the projects that I'm working on. And I love that concept so much. And now you're probably thinking, how do I get to the stage where I am building a personal brand, where I'm sharing my story, but it's not just my story that I want to share? And that's what I've been doing. I had a stage where I was sharing my story a lot because I wanted to install the narrative into my audience's head. And now I'm going through a stage where I'm sharing more things, me talking about content, how I built my account up, how I got such a strong foundation of a personal brand, the experiences that I went through, just trying to give value to my audience. Because in this account, I have this concept of being the person I wish I had. And the whole goal behind the account, behind everything that I do, is to help that past version of myself to the current people right now. And the main way, I used to be really bad at talking in front of camera. I used to be really shy. I always used to be really self-conscious. And now when people talk to me now, they don't see that part of me at all. And that's because I did this exercise to help me understand how cool my story is and give me more confidence in myself. I spent an evening grabbing a piece of paper and I wrote my whole story from scratch. And I kept on reading it over, adding certain bits, kept on improving the story, reading it out, and seeing how sick my story was, how unique it was. By the way, everyone's stories are unique. It's what makes you different to everyone else. Sure, some people might have similar bits to your story, but no one will have the same experience that you went through. And that's why it's so important to share that, because that's how you relate to other people. And the best thing I did was reading the story and thinking about how sick it was, how cool it was that this was my story, how I needed to share it, because I knew that more people would be relating to this. And that's exactly the format that I went to, where I just started sharing my story. And when I look at my audience now through my Instagram analytics, it's all diasporas. My top audience, all of my audience are from England, Sri Lanka, Italy, Canada, America, and Australia, which is where my audience is situated. And the thing is, I wasn't going out chasing for these people. I just started talking about myself, my story, things that I went through, and naturally, these people started following me. So if you're seeing this video and you're already a founder, you're trying to build a personal brand, but you're not really sure on how to do it, just start talking about your story, ways that you're making money now, and things that make you happy. For example, I love running, so I started making running videos. I was trying to learn how to edit, so I was trying to practice off other creators, trying to see their videos and trying to copy the video just to learn the skill. And by you focusing on those three things, you're going to be able to build such a strong foundation of a personal brand where every single person that will want to follow you, that will want to join you for the journey, it's going to be someone that will relate to you because they feel the feeling that you share. They feel the feeling through you sharing your story. And this is exactly what I go through with my consulting clients. I help founders with their personal brands, bring them opportunities that they never would have had if they didn't build that account. And it's so important to understand what you should talk about in your content and do it strategically. And I've honestly been loving doing these calls because when I first started all of this, I didn't really have anyone helping me. I didn't have anyone giving me tips on how to do all of this. I just started doing it and I learned it by figuring it out on the way. And it's pretty cool that now I am able to help the person that is trying to get into content, that is trying to build a personal brand, because I was there from the very start, learning how to do it. And now I'm able to share what I've learned one-to-one to people. And I honestly love showing people how sick their stories are, how strong their purposes can be. And I have this concept on this account, which is for me to create as much impact as possible. I honestly want to create a movement for people to go out there and do the things that they always wanted to do. And if I'm able to help people one-on-one and inspire them to do that thing that they always wanted to do, that's another way of me doing it, apart from content. And it's so cool because I have such a strong why, which I name it down to the voice I wish I had. And it's at the center of my content, my businesses, the projects that I'm working on, but most importantly, it's at the center of my life. I think about it when I wake up. I think about it when I start my day. I need to make sure I get my tasks done. Otherwise, I am not working towards my mission. So yeah, if you want to jump on a call and fully understand how to build a personal brand, check the link in the description. I would love to just talk to you and see what we can do together.